back, third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw and a run. Complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey. 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey's got. Lindsey's got. Lindsey's got.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dogs Down South podcast. I'm your host, Ted Turner. Thanks for joining tonight. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. And if you cannot catch it live tonight, make sure to let everybody know that we are on Apple Podcasts within 24 hours after the episode goes live. So super excited tonight. We are in February, and it is still that time of year where there's just not a lot to talk about right now in college football, but it's still great to share this evening with a couple of great friends, a couple of great guys to talk about the dogs with, and we're going to have some fun tonight with some of these topics. Let me bring these boys on real quick. I got Mr. Bobby Ryals right here. Welcome, Bobby. Got Mr. Adam Fisher here. What's up, Adam? How are you, man? How you guys?
What's up? How's it going?
Doing great.
Bobby, what's the temperature in your area? I love doing this because earlier when I asked this question, this blew my mind. So they're only a state away, but what's the temperature up there, Bobby, where you're at?
Yeah, we are 50 degrees right now.
50. Fish, you're a little south, right? A little farther south.
52 in Savannah.
52, yeah. So 52 was our high today. I'm sorry, 52 was our low this morning, where everybody else was probably in like the 20s and 30s. So
yeah,
we woke up to 52, yeah, and so we got up to around 70 here in sunny Florida, where we don't participate in all of that junk up there. But guess what? My roots are still in Georgia, right. So I'm just I just hang out down here in Florida. But this is gonna be a fun night. This is gonna be a real fun night. The what I call the meat and potatoes of the show tonight is gonna be obviously. We got the great announcement of NCAA. Oh, wait. Let me back up. College football 25 is making a return after, it seems like a eternity, man, right? So if you're like a college football, like
I think
14,
2014.
10 years, man. And if you're like it's not necessarily if you're a gamer, but like if you're a college football, person, and you had this game anywhere between like 2010 and 2014. Like, you just know, like, between any mode, between playing online head to head, and everybody knows you can go into dynasty mode, and like you can take like Hawaii or like I don't know, College of Charleston. Shout out to College of Charleston, wherever you're at, and literally start them with the 67 overall quarterback, and you can start. You create those one or two players, get them a 99, right? And then you start getting your recruits in. Next thing you know, man, College of Charleston is going to the national championship. So, dude, I thought it would be fun tonight to talk about that. Well, first off, let's go around. Bobby, how excited are you for college football 25?
Bro, man, like, I think, what's it called? Is it Road to Glory? Is that what it was called in the last
Road to Glory?
Create your player, right? And he becomes kind of big man on campus. Like, you start him out in high school, and then he kind of graduate into to get
to go win the state championship.
And try to win the state championship, and average 300 rushing yards a game, or like, it's just
awesome.
Man, it was so much fun. And then you get to college, you get to your favorite school, work your way up the depth chart, and
man.
It's a ton of fun, man. I'm super excited about it. And now, it's just, really, honestly, in 10 years, the game itself, like the real legit college football game, not the video game, has changed so much in 10 years. The landscape of college football is different. Really interested to see how they plug that into the game as well. Make it realistic. And so we'll see, man. But back in 2014, right, I think the game was made in 13, but like the big deal was like you had to do some work to make Georgia actually be good. And now they're talent, right? They're going to be one of the more dominant teams on there. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, right. But come on, man. Fish, what about you? Fish is dying to chime in on this one, bro.
Dude, I am so excited.
Dude,
I'm
just
kinda
flipping your
living for
gills,
this right
man.
now. Man, literally, yeah, fish. Yep,
So
nice one.
Fish,
Yeah.
what,
You don't get that.
what's the most you would pay for this game?
Ooh,
Right now, easy, 100. I'd
I'll
get the
drop 100,
deluxe
man.
super duper edition for 100.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, like
Easy.
it's going to be $70, but apparently, if you get the $99.99 version, you get like a free tattoo of Nick Saban, dude. Isn't that crazy?
Oh man, I'll take it and sell that thing on eBay for 400.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
bro. Free Saban tattoos, bro. Anywhere you want it.
I want to know personally. I'll personally want to know who the announcers are going to be.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
That's
That
what I'm
definitely.
excited about.
There's a lot of what ifs, right? So it's like,
Yep.
well, and the number one, thing that they did clarify right off the bat, because as you know, when I announced it, one of the key things that EA did not do with this release is they kept NCAA out of it. So they don't have NCAA in the title, obviously, because just like us, we're sick and tired of the NCAA, and I'm totally, ready to go, showered up, and ready to go to court on that one. So if they need to bring me in, and the fact that I badmouth them on a podcast, the NCAA right now is just ripping college football apart. So it's like, you know what? I'll be there, man. I'll sign the petition. Fine. I'm ready to go. But like, they don't have it in the name. So like, they're prepared for the future, I think, and they're prepared to take on anything that comes their way as far as, NIL and things of that nature. So maybe EA is ready to not have to pull it off the shelves a year after it makes its comeback, because it's almost like giving NCAA fans, did it again, college football 25 fans, like they're ready to go, and then you give them a taste, and we love what we have, and then you take it back again. But I'll tell you something, man. The thing I don't want, they better not screw this game up, man, because we have waited a long time. You better not give me no Madden.
No.
Don't give me no Madden with now college players, bro, because I will be irate. But yeah, man, super excited about this. There's so many questions around it. That's the meat and potatoes of tonight's. We're gonna have a fun ending to all of it tonight, where we're gonna do. I thought it would be fitting to say what it's gonna be 25 NCAA 25. So we're gonna do who we think will be the top 25 highest rated SEC players in the game. And that'll be really fun before we end it all out. And so we'll all probably, I have a list. You guys can rip it apart. We'll do some honorable mentions. Anybody joins the chat right now. If you're in the chat right now, I see we got a couple people that join in and out. You're welcome to put who you want in there, and we'll discuss it, talk about it. But let's hop into some hot topics right now before we do that. Obviously, one of the biggest topics on the list right now, down in Athens, up in Athens, I should say. Obviously, the news out of Athens is Brian McClendon, wide receivers coach and former Georgia alum and wide receiver for the University of Georgia, has decided to move on. It's a good thing for the Bucks. He's coming down here to my territory, because Lord knows we need somebody to coach receivers down here in Tampa Bay. But it does leave a big hole for Georgia. So the first question I kind of want to pose tonight is I went on TikTok earlier and did a little 2-minute video, and the thing I said was I really think as we move as this, everybody's stamping Georgia as, are they the next dynasty? Is Kirby Smart the next Nick Saban-ish type? Like, is this his era, right? So we're talking about in 10 years, hopefully it's 20 or 30. Hopefully Kirby wants to stay here until he retires, obviously. But the next Diamond-esque type layout for Georgia. But I think that this hire right here might be, this has not been a position that we have flourished at as far as getting recruits in the past. You can go back to, I think the only two that really jump off the charts for me are obviously George Pickens, and then you look back at AJ Green. But I want to toss this to you guys really quick. So when Brian McClendon is announced that he's leaving, like, what were your first thoughts? I'll go to you, Fish, first. What were your first thoughts on Brian McClendon leaving?
I mean, it's not good news, but I mean, it's good for him. It's better for him. He's trying to improve himself and move on. And, he wants to be at the next level. And he got an opportunity and he took it, and you can't fault the man for that. But Kirby has a tendency to be able to reload real well as far as players and coaches go. So I'm just kind of excited to see who he's got coming in now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents. Bobby, what do you think? How were you? Were you excited? Were you kind of like perplexed? Was it like, or was it like, this is a big loss?
I was like, it's a big loss, and really not necessarily on the skill set side, but on the recruiting side.
Mhm.
Right.
Big time.
Like you mentioned, like we historically we've not been a big draw for receivers because for so long we were just like just like Alabama kind of was a control the line of scrimmage, run the ball down your throat, and pass when you had to.
Mhm.
That has really in the past 3 years probably we've gone away from that. So our offense is pass friendly now.
Right.
Right. So now you give a receiver a chance to gain a lot of yardage and to really cement a name for himself. Right.
Right.
And so that kind of draws those players in. And so you've
Right.
worked hard to kind of build that. So to me, you really, really, really got to hit a home run with this next hire. Right. He's
Yeah.
got to be a guy that can recruit. He's got to be a guy that has a brand, right? That these kids say, oh, wow. I'll talk about a couple of guys I've got on my radar when we get to that point. But
Yeah.
so to me, it is a loss. It is a loss, but it's not one that can't be filled pretty quickly.
Yeah. Brian McClendon, I always felt like, he flirted with some, as coaches have transitioned out, he's flirted with that interim coaching role, obviously, in a couple of places he's been. And so I felt like he's looking to break through. He's just been kind of hung up in that play calling role, but is it a head coaching role next? I don't know what it was, but there was something obviously that we don't get to see daily. But I always thought that McClendon's character and what he brought to coaching and what he brought to mentoring these young guys was really incredible. I love McClendon. He was an under the radar type player. I have a picture of him. It's framed and matted, scoring a touchdown with an America's Georgia Bulldog, Leonard Pope. And so it reminds me of, McClendon was also not one of those like blue chip 4 or 5-star receivers to come through Georgia. However, what built his name was hard work, and I felt like that's what he asked of our receivers. And I felt like one thing he did do was he developed incredibly well. I think when you look at, when Cortez Hankton came through, and you look when he handed it off, and then we got McClendon, I think we've always developed well, obviously, because you look at the Lad McConkeys, you look at so many of the receivers that have come through that we haven't recruited well at that position. Let's just be honest. And so we've had to develop, right? Tight ends have been a saving grace for us in the past few years in the past game. So as we move forward, like, yes, Brian McClendon was a great coach and a great recruiter for Georgia, but I will tell you, it might have been good timing because I still don't think in the past 2 years. I mean, Nitro Tuggle, so he's a 4-star. So we'll see. That was one of his prized pieces that he added this year. And I've heard that Nitro has, in the name, he has a very elusive speed, good hands. I'm hearing that he is that one breakout 4-star receiver that we've been looking for that can be a kind of a game changer. Time will tell. But if you could honestly tell the truth, we've done more damage in the portal in the past few years than we've done in anything, adding a lot of impact, especially this year and last year with, Lovett, and we're adding Humphreys this year and adding Young from Miami, and we did a lot of damage in the portal. And so whoever the next coach is coming through, I think if they can add, obviously we can't backtrack on the development because we've done such a great job there, but also we need to add some addition to the portal footprint, and we need to add a lot of key elements in trying to get some of those 4 and 5 stars to land at Georgia, right? Get that AJ Green, get that, that we can't just get that person that lands every 3 years, right? In order to solidify that offense. So let's talk about names. Obviously, that's the next thing on the list. So I know, Bobby, you said you had a couple names out there. I know I have a couple as well. I'm hearing. I'll just throw a couple out there that I would like to see, and we'll see what you got on your list, Fish. We'll see if any of those fit in your gaps either. But I'm hearing a little bit about Joe Cox at Ole Miss right now. Obviously, was at Alabama before that. Joe Cox is obviously a Georgia alum. He played quarterback at Georgia. Done a really good job in coaching. He's coaching tight ends right now for Ole Miss. I'm not sure that it's kind of a downgrade because obviously when DeBoer came in and cleaned house at Alabama, he's coaching tight ends at Ole Miss. I don't know. Maybe it might be intriguing to him, and he's a great recruiter. I'm also hearing the name Jimmy Smith from Arkansas, who's another guy that they're. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm continuing to hear. I know recruiting is important, but I'm continuing to hear elite recruiters. But I just want to make sure that we have the entire package, right? So really quick, I got some more names, but Bobby, who do you got on your list as who you're hearing or who you're seeing of possible people that could take?
Yep. Quick question about the Jimmy Smith guy. Is that the guy that was the head coach at Cedar Grove and went into college?
That is him.
Coach.
Yes.
I see that dude's a legit coach. So I'm looking for a bigger hit on the recruiting trail, right? So I'm looking for somebody who's got Georgia ties, who loves the school, who could absolutely draw guys in and was very successful at the position themselves. So I got 3 guys for you. I got Hines Ward.
Yeah.
I got AJ Green, and I got Terrence Edwards. Those are my wish list. Any of those 3 and your boys, it's Merry Christmas to me, man. It's Christmas to me, bro. If we get any of those 3, I don't know if all 3 are available. I know Terrence Edwards. I communicate with him on Twitter a little bit, but I know he just took a head coaching job at a high school.
Yeah.
But he's got that receiver academy, so he's built a ton of relationships with those kids around the Atlanta area. So that'd be a huge get if you get him on board. And then we know Hines is a Hall of Fame guy, you know, and Jay Green, one of the best receivers at Georgia ever, made a name for himself in the NFL. So all 3 of those guys have what I think it takes on the recruiting side to start pulling 5 stars.
Yeah, I like those names. We can talk. What Fish? Who you got? You got anybody on that list to fill in any gaps? What are you hearing?
I think Hines Ward would be great, and he does keep talking about how he would drop everything to come coach for Kirby. I mean, I don't know how legit that is. I mean, I see it all over the place, so I don't know what you can put a lot of faith in it, but he would be great. And imagine him recruiting, man, like Hines Ward walking in your house, Super Bowl champion, you know?
Yeah.
That's something that don't we think that that's kind of what makes the DNA of Kirby? Don't get me wrong, because we talked about it before we came on. You know, Kirby's footprint in recruiting, if you can, I mean, it's why Trey Scott, I mean, recruiter, 2023 recruiter of the year on our staff again. I mean, I would beg to differ. The only person he might have been going up against was Fran Brown. Like, Fran Brown did a phenomenal job this year as well, too. So it's like, I feel like you probably had 2 guys on the same coaching staff that were vying for recruiter of the year. But then you look at, you look at the footprint of Kirby, and don't you know that just the recruiter he is, but being able to add the fact that he is Georgia alum, he can speak to this university way more in depth when he's talking to these kids and he's going, hey, you don't understand the UGA I know. This is my roots. And so for Hines, and I wonder, let's just be honest. I don't want to question this because I'm not saying he's not, but is maybe when it comes down to what Hines can offer, I'm sure he has the storyline. I know he can mentor and coach kids, but does he have the technical aspects of what the college game asks for as far as X's and O's? What is Hines Ward missing for the reason he's been overlooked for 5 years?
Yeah.
Availability, maybe. I mean, we don't know how serious he was about taking a role. I could not look at him and imagine that he doesn't have the X's and O's mentality. You don't become a Hall of Fame player at your position without knowing what you need to do against an opposing defense as a receiver, right? Not at that level. So
he was a great route runner.
Excellent route runner, right? And he had the knowledge not only from the receiver position, but from the QB position too.
Yeah, right. He wasn't like overwhelmingly fast, so he had to run good routes.
Right. And so the chemistry that he built from knowing, and the knowledge from knowing the QB position and the receiver position, right? I kind of compare that to in baseball, right? Being a catcher and knowing where everybody has to be on the field. Man, I don't see where Hines, I don't see a weak spot for Hines, right? I
Yeah.
just don't.
I'd like to
So
think there are none.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like other names, I'll give you two more names that I've heard. One that I don't really, I'm not in love with, but Kirby's known to do this. So one is Brandon Streeter, which is an offensive analyst, which is Clemson's old OC under Dabo. Came to us. He was an offensive analyst last year. He's on staff right now from Clemson. I'm hearing that name is a possibility. Another name I'm hearing is Holman Wiggins, Texas A&M via Alabama. So he was also in that in the talks for number one recruiter of the year as far as that 2023 cycle. Trey Scott ended up bringing it, but Holman Wiggins did a great job. I mean, he has landed some great receivers. Obviously, he landed Nye Black from Alabama. He landed Bond to Alabama. So he's definitely got some ties out there. I think my home run. I like Hines, but I was, as I said on TikTok, I think this has to be a very well-rounded, very, very solid hire. I think Jimmy Smith is the name. I think that, I'm going to tell you why I think this is going to be the one that lands is because if you look at him and you look at the impact, I mean, he has that associate head coaching tag. So he's definitely Pittman's man over at Arkansas right now. The thing is if you're Williams, Smith, sorry, this is a step up. Number one. Number two, you might be 5 or 6 weeks into the season from not having, going from job hunting next year because Pittman is literally starting the year with skates this year, right?
Yep.
So for him, if we have a shot at him, I think we get him. I would take, my dream would be either Cox, Smith, or Hines Ward. I would say in my order, I'd say I want Smith first. I'd like Hines second, and then probably Joe Cox third. I don't want Brandon Streeter. Holman Wiggins is just a name. I do think Saban's name recruited a lot of what was going on at Alabama. You can't tell me that Holman Wiggins was the name on every wide receiver that came to Alabama. Nick Saban's name is on 75 to 80% of all recruits that come to Alabama, right? And I like Terrence Edwards too. Now, Terrence Edwards still is very involved with Georgia football and recruiting. There's a lot of names out there that have said that, they were thinking about Georgia, and now that McClendon's left, they're up in the air. So I think this will be very quick for Kirby. I think this will happen. Today is Tuesday. I think by Friday, we're going to have a coach at that position. I don't think Kirby messes around with that. And you don't get 2 calls from him. Like, you take the first call or you don't get the job. Because I think he's ready to move, not because of. I think there's all these candidates are very viable. I think Terrence Edwards would be. And I'll tell you, AJ Green was something I didn't think about, but right now, maybe for AJ Green, I don't know if maybe the footprint, the X's and O's piece, I don't know yet. Maybe it might do him some good to get down to that high school ranks, right, and to start kind of building those relationships, building the X and O's piece. But I love AJ Green, man, because let's just be honest, like he's in the era of Georgia football. Like I grew up watching AJ Green. He's on my top 5 in wide receivers to come through, probably my top 3 to come through Georgia, right? So definitely something that we can look at. Let's move on for time's sake. So I posed this question really quick. So as we move into what we just talked about, I'm talking about Saban's, Saban's name did a lot of recruiting for Alabama. Let's just be honest. But, I listened to another SEC podcast and I heard this topic and I would love to talk about it with you guys. But, as we look at Saban retiring, right? And Saban was like the face of college football, which sidebar, some people are actually asking for the college football 25 game to be called Saban 25, kind of like Madden. It has 25. They're actually posing that should be how he goes down in his footprint. So you call it, I mean, can you imagine? It's just kind of the lingo now now it's just called Madden, right? Can you imagine just that game be called Saban? This Saban 25 comes out next week.
I don't want to have to stare at that case on my shelf all the time, dude. No,
right.
Thank
you. I'm all for putting him on the cover.
Yeah, that's fine.
For 1 year.
But not naming the game after him.
The cover art being Saban. Like I really, that to me would be a fitting tribute. I mean, we faced some tough. He handed it to us a lot, and so, but I mean, legit, like the guy is the GOAT. He was more of the GOAT for college football than John Madden was for NFL.
Yeah.
So, but like, I don't
But
want
I
to
still think Madden may have had a bigger imprint on the NFL than Saban has had on college football. Saban has won a lot of championships, but Madden went, he won a Super Bowl, and then, he was a broadcaster forever.
Well, Saban's going that
Saban's
direction.
going to broadcast, bro.
So
yeah, but let's give him a couple years, and then we'll change the name of the game.
Yeah,
right.
Let's get that Alabama funky taste out of our mouths, and then we'll see.
Yeah, just leave it college football, man. Like, it ain't got to be named after anybody. But
Saban.
I do think
you guys getting Saban 25? I can't even. It sounds like a Star Wars movie, bro. Saban 25.
It does.
Grab your lightsaber.
But as you said, Bobby, like, so Saban's retired, right? So like, who is the next face of college football now? And I know we're gonna have some very biased decisions on this, but like, the thing is, man, is it really biased? Because like, Saban's retired, so now you look at like, what's the face of college football? And if there's a name I miss, but like, I'm gonna leave one name off. You probably know who that is, but like, I go through this list of people and I go, you put these up there with Saban, and you go, so 10 years from now, this guy right here is gonna be where Saban is now. And if he were to hit the retire button, everybody does the same thing. So is that Dabo Swinney? Is Dabo Swinney the face of college football now for the next 10 years? Yes or no?
No.
He's not even the face of the ACC.
Yeah, I mean, they took a big hit this year, right? Like, I mean, he reeled it back in at the end of the year and kind of started moving it in the right direction. But I mean, at one point, they had 4 losses, right? I mean, and his failure, his lack of foresight to see that he needs to use the portal to stay relevant,
bingo,
is going to prevent him from being the GOAT. Like, he just can't, right? Until you can get beyond that and really, college football is an evolutionary sport. It has evolved, right? And so you cannot sit there and watch everybody else around you do different things, and you think that you stay stubborn and continuously fall behind. And that is exactly what he did this year.
He won't buy real estate in that portal, man. His own AD even questioned that this will be, if this year is not as smooth sailing. Wait, let me reverse this. If this year is as bumpy of a road as last year, his own AD called him out and was like, hey, maybe we get into the portal this spring after, spring, things of that nature. He's kind of hinting at like, hey, Dabo, like, are we going to hit the portal, dude? But, it's kind of like if I looked at you and I said, hey, man, the portal is the toilet plunger, right? And my toilet's backed up, right? But I gave you a hammer, a wrench, and the plunger, and you won't go for the plunger. Like, you just won't. Like, the other two might get it if you work hard about it, but you have the tool right here, man. So you're not recruiting well. You're not recruiting as well as you used to. You're not developing as well. But then you got these players that it's like, hey, man, by the way, you got money at Clemson. We know Clemson has money. But like, hey, man, are you too good? Like, are you too good? I mean, because Georgia, I get culture. Culture is very important for Dabo at Clemson. But are you too good to actually be able to go and just go, hey, man, I can actually see if this works out? Because nobody knows if Trevor Etienne is the biggest hit at the running back position for Georgia in a long, long time through the portal. We don't know if culture will work out with him. For all we know, we could look at week 3 and that'll be the talk of our podcast, and we'll be going, why is Trevor Etienne not seeing the field? Because if he doesn't buy into the culture and he doesn't understand what the goal is, and it ain't about Trevor Etienne and it's about Georgia football, he won't play. So my thing is you can control the culture through the portal, but do you want to do any work to actually do it? And do you have enough coaches that are actually bought into what? And Dabo's losing that a little bit. But I mean, we could go on for days about that. But Adam, what do you think about this name? Do you think in 10 years that name to carry out the legacy is a Deion Sanders?
Could be. It could be. And, without being, it's not biased because if you check the stats, Kirby is the coach the last 5 years in college
Right.
football. Most wins,
I'm leaving
most
him off.
losses. I know, but,
Yeah.
I know.
It's hard. It's hard.
Prime time, Ryan Day, if Ohio State wins a couple, maybe, possibly if Ohio State stays up there near the top and relevant. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah. Ryan Day. Yeah. What about Bobby? What about Lincoln Riley? No. What about Lincoln? I mean, dude, he had so much.
No,
it's so much momentum going for him in Oklahoma.
Right? You hear about coaches doing more with less. He has done less with more.
Yeah,
you get
Caleb Williams
talent, and you still lose 3-4 games a year. That's coaching. That's development or lack of it. Right? Lincoln Riley's not the guy. I'll give you a name that is the guy outside of Kirby. Potentially because of what
Harbaugh's gone though.
Who?
Harbaugh's gone though, but Harbaugh could pull a Saban and have to come back. So go ahead.
I'm looking at the direction college football is going in, right? With NIL, the money aspect of it. Who I think is primed in this era to really take off would be Steve Sarkisian. Because of the deep pocket to Texas, right? That is just going to serve them very well in this new pay-for-player type deal. That would be outside of Kirby. That would be my next guy.
All they got to do, bro, is just sell like 7 more herds of cattle, and they can get that
right. Yeah.
So it's like, we're disadvantaged, bro. I mean, what are we doing in Georgia, bro? I mean, we got to sell butt ton of peaches. No disrespect to my home state, but we don't have
oil, bro.
Peaches and peanuts.
Oil money, man. We all pay into that when we buy gas.
Yeah, but Sarkisian, I mean, Texas went all in on Sarkisian, man. They doubled his pay, bro. Man was making $5 million, and all of a sudden they're like, you deserve to be at the top. And they just go, you make $10 million now. Sarkisian wasn't going anywhere, man. One threat from Alabama doubles his pay, dude. That's another whole issue with college football, man. It's like, look, don't be so quick to jump, man, with the money thing. Like, it just sets all the other universities up for failure when you're just like, pay that man so he doesn't go anywhere. Norvell at Florida State, like, literally all he did was his agent probably called him up, said, hey, man, I'm just going to throw a breath towards the news with your name in Alabama, and, hey, man, I get 20%, so we're just going to get a raise this year, okay? Norvell's like, whatever. I just don't want to hear about it. I got things to do, and he gets a raise, dude. It's
a lot of those guys have the same agent, though, don't they? Don't they all have the same?
Yeah, they all of them.
A lot of them do, yeah.
They just group message out. It's like, hey guys, raise coming your way right here. I'm just going to flex your names out there. What about Lane Kiffin?
I wanted to say him. I really did, because
he's a player. He's a player's coach, man.
Big time. Yeah, he could be. And Ole Miss is primed to have a really good year this year. Like, they're definitely making the playoff easy. They're definitely going to be one of those 7 teams, one of the 7 highest ranked teams outside of 5 conference champions.
Yeah. I think it's Kirby. I mean, not being biased, but Kirby is building something at Georgia that is just unmatched. Yeah. You can't lose 20 plus players to the portal. And what really sold it for me was I looked at the average grade of the recruits that left Georgia this year. Exited. There was about 14 of those players would rank his recruiting aspect above 90. You just lost that. And then still people look and go, who's your preseason top 25 number 1? It's Georgia. Everybody across the thing. And I don't care about jinxes anymore. I don't care. My Stafford days are over. Don't put No Sean and Stafford on Sports Illustrated. Remember that year? Georgia number 1, Stafford and No Sean on the front. I think we made it to
Bama,
Hawaii Bowl.
I was at that game.
So, it's just, I think I think it's Kirby's to lose. I think it's footprint on recruiting. If he doesn't get tired, knock on wood, we all need to say a prayer after this podcast, because Lord knows if we all wake up to Kirby leaving, we will probably be shut down internet-wise. We'll never have any internet access. Every Georgia fan will make sure of it. But I think Kirby
deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. I think Kirby's the guy, man. I think he's doing everything right now. I think he's building the culture. I think he's building the DNA. Players want to play there. I think some of the players that left didn't think they were going to see the field this year, right? When James Dumas-Johnson leaves,
that's the main reason a bunch of them did leave.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not going to see the field. And maybe, I mean, right now too, Georgia's got a good problem. We have 90, what we're supposed to have 90 scholarship athletes or whatever. I think we got like somewhere in the mix of like, I feel like there's like 100 players out there. We don't even have enough scholarships, but somehow we always work it out and we do it legally. And so it always works out. But yeah, it's really nice to see just all the aspects of how Kirby winds it in and does it the right way, and always has his hand in the right conversation and you're going to see there's going to be a masterpiece of what you're going to see at G-Day from the portal. I mean, I am stoked to see what Pope looks like in the secondary, what Bolden looks like. I like Jake. I've heard a lot of great things about Jake Pope from Alabama. And I just know that when Kirby goes and says, I want that guy, and nobody's heard of him, like I'm putting the stamp on it. Pope is your next Lab McConkey. I'm calling it already. He's your next Lab McConkey. He's your next guy where they're just like, where did he come from? So
that's a bold statement.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that's what's going to happen. Which
I hope you're right.
A little sidebar. G-Day was announced today. Did you guys know that? It was like a couple hours before we went on.
21st?
April 13th. April 13th. Okay. Yeah. So we are, we're fixing to breathe the days of March. That means we are, only days away from being able to talk about some practice news and show some pictures of some players in uniform and hear the talk. And man, I'm super stoked. I'm ready, dude. Ready to hear some real things. Let's hop into the meat and potatoes, man. Let's do NCAA. I did it again. Let's do college football 25, man. Let's talk about these top 25 players and what we think they will be ranked. And let's see if you guys agree, disagree, what you know about them. I kind of put this list together. I don't know if they'll be ranked this. Now, remember, this is the ranking I think they will start with. We said this earlier. We said, I'm hoping they do updates every few weeks because I will tell you there's a lot of players on this particular list that would not be on this list if it was just the rankings of, let's say, NCAA college football 23. Because I also can look at one of these names, Brady Cook from Missouri. Brady Cook, week 1 through 5 was a 78. But week 5 through 12, he was a 96. Like the kid was like, they were almost to the point of going, do we need to go to the backup in Missouri, right? And then all of a sudden, Brady Cook just becomes a gamer. So I'm hoping they update these from time to time, each week, each few weeks. But let's throw it out there real quick. And then we'll talk about honorable mentions, people that are not on this, and maybe we get that. Number 25 on the list, college football 25. I got him at 86 overall. Don't know a lot about him. Name is Taj Brooks. He transferred from Texas Tech through the portal to Texas. Already going to add to I have him a little bit ahead of Jonathan Edwards from Texas, who's also 1,000-yard back from Texas last year. So this is a tough top 25 right here. And so I got him at 86. Don't know much about him, although he rushed for 1,600 yards last year at Texas Tech. They predominantly throw the ball, but they're a little bit more balanced now from the Mike Leach era. But I mean, I think he'll be a guy that comes in and makes an immediate impact at Texas because he has that number one thing that the SEC is so known for, and that's speed. I think he's going to have like a 96 speed or something on here. What you guys know about Taj Brooks?
Jeez.
Anything you heard about him? You don't know much about him?
Everything you just said now.
All right, cool. Yeah, you're going with me on that one. Perfect.
The only thing I know about Texas Tech is nothing to do with football. They've got a kid that plays baseball there from Houston County.
Okay.
Young man, nice Christian guy. Gage Harrelson, and he'll probably go drafted this year. So he's
nice, very
incredible.
nice.
Yeah.
Remember that name, Taj Brooks. A couple of these at the bottom might be kind of out of nowheres, but yeah. So that was a little Texas picking him up was huge because Jonathan Edwards was already sitting back there and guy rushed for over 1,300 yards. So I think what now Texas has that Georgia had a few years back is that Chubb Michelle type duo. You got speed and power, so that gives Texas another hand up. And Texas has a few more players on this list. Coming in at 24. This might be a little bit of a low ranking for him, but I love this. Nazir Stackhouse, Georgia defensive tackle. I think he's going to be a much more impactful player on the defensive line this year. I have him at an 88. The big thing about Nazir is he's a smart guy up front. He's not going to be the Jalen Carter. He's not going to be that just elusive, game-changing type defensive lineman, but he comes back for his senior year. I think he's going to be a top 2 or 3 defensive tackle the defensive lineman off the list in next year's draft. What do you think about Stackhouse at 24? I got him an overall 88 for the game.
I think that's solid. I think that's a good spot. If it's not for a bogus call, my boy gets a scoop and a score, right? He's
Missouri game, right? That was that game. Yep.
Yeah, Stackhouse is good, man, and he's really felt like the second part of the season, like he really just kind of stepped into a role and started making his presence known, getting in the backfield, and so he's had time to work.
Yeah.
So I could see him being in the top 25 for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, I hope you're wrong just a little bit, only because I would like him to be higher. But like you said, hopefully they'll improve ratings, as the season goes on, update the roster every week like Madden does.
I agree. So, I think the thing is, man, is this was hard because I made a little list, and the list I gave you guys, I went back and made some corrections because I was like, man, I left some people. I forgot about some people like from the All-American team. I mean, they made SEC All-American first, second team last year, and I'm like, I don't know if we can keep them off, But I like Nazir there. 23. Here's a kid who had an incredible last 9 weeks of the season for Missouri as a number 2 receiver. Some of you guys may remember him, Theo Weiss, and I think the reason he had such a breakout type last 8 or 9 weeks of the season was because Luther Burden got healthy, and Luther Burden saw a lot of that safety, over the top coverage, things of that nature. And so Theo Weiss had a really incredible, second half of the season. And I think he could put up some really big numbers this year because we all know a healthy Luther Burden this year is a dangerous thing at their main wide receiver position. So he could have a better statistical year than Luther Burden, but obviously Luther Burden's the better talent, but Theo Weiss could have the better statistical year. What do you think, Fish? You know much about Theo Weiss?
I mean, a little bit, from what I saw last year, watching him the last few weeks of the season, like you said, he did kind of come up post onto the scene, came on strong, finished strong. I mean, so yeah.
I like him there. I got him at a 90
on the other side. Yeah, that's
good. I got him at a 90. I'm not playing with anybody on the game but Georgia anyway, so it doesn't really matter what I have him at, right?
I know.
Sorry. It is what it is. I've never been able to go in there and play with Georgia and be fine with that. I've always had to be like, well, Georgia's my team, but man, I'm going to have to be able to run the ball. My defense.
2007 was the last year, or the only year that Georgia was ever number 1 or top 5 coming in on the ranked preseason in that game.
The only reason I got Georgia that year is because I could run around the whole game with DJ Shockley, dude. He was fast in that game. He had like an 88, 90 speed. I was like, if I can't throw it, I know I can bust a run. So I don't know. 22, man. 22, nearing towards the top 10. I got this name, James Pierce, Tennessee defensive tackle. Rated as right there with Nazir and then a name for later. A lot of people, I know Barrett Salee has talked a lot about James Pierce, Tennessee. Little breakout year last year with Tennessee. His name was called a lot in the middle. Either you guys know anything that you can elaborate about Pierce? I saw him a little bit I do think he's a big body up there. He's not as big as a body as I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But anything you want to chime in about James Pierce?
So Pierce gets off of the edge pretty good. Like one thing for a guy that's out there rushing is his hips, right? And how can he move his hips? And Pierce is very good at that. I'll be honest with you. I probably would have him more 19 or 20.
Yeah. And some people have him a lot higher. I agree.
He's good.
I agree.
What's his overall score? What is he, 90?
I got him at a 90.
90? Yeah.
Got him at a 90. Probably got, he's kind of, I don't say he's as big as Jordan Davis, but I agree with you. He's a bigger body, but he moves well for his big body. So I feel like he has a little bit of that Jalen Carter type elusiveness that you wouldn't think he had if you looked at him. So moving on, because I know we're gonna talk a lot about the top 10, but 21, I have a kid named Billy Bowman Jr. out of Oklahoma, defensive back. Could have gone pro this year, chose to stay. Big lockdown corner for Oklahoma. I like this name. He also special teams a little bit. He's on the kick return team. The reason I have him here is, number one, he's a lockdown guy in the secondary for Oklahoma, but he's going to have that 95, 96 speed rating on college football. But any of you guys know anything about Billy Bowman you want to add? You like him there? Wouldn't like him there?
No, that's a good spot for him. He's definitely a shutdown corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of speed, man. Like you're going to have some pretty good success. You don't really have to have great hands for the DB role. You just got to good hips and be smart and know where you're supposed to be and get there in a hurry. And
yeah, you're right. You don't need hands to be a good DB.
I'm going to ask you guys at the end who you think, regardless of conference, who's your top three. Like, like when the game comes out, like there's only like a couple of 99s, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you, so be ready. Who's your 99s? I have mine, but so 2020, I have a kid named Maxwell Hairston, cornerback, Kentucky, shutdown cornerback, sophomore, really, really tall kid, lengthy kid, but fast kid. I thought if this kid's not I'm gonna say this. If this kid's not at Kentucky, he gets a heck of a lot more talk. But because you'd look at Kentucky's defense and go, man, how big is that defensive line, and how stacked was that defense the past few years for the defense to look like that, right? Yeah. But how many of you guys? What do you guys know about Maxwell Harrison? You like him there? Or don't like him there? I got him as a 90 rating on the game.
I really don't know that much about him, to be honest. Like I haven't.
Yeah,
honestly,
because he plays for Kentucky, dude. I mean, I didn't know much about him either. I actually had to go. All right, so when I look at All-Americans that came out of last year and I started mixing them in with who I remember, I looked at this kid and I YouTubed him a little bit, and I'm like, man, but you don't hear anything about him because, like, Kentucky's probably one of the most underperforming defenses in the past. And the sad thing is Mike Stoops is a defensive guy. So it's what in the frick is going on with Kentucky's defense?
Yeah, I know.
And so that's why.
It takes a lot of Jimmies and Joes, right? Just one or two just ain't going to get it done.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. As you know, Kirby's a extremely hands-on defensive guy, but he has, we're going to have, in my opinion, we're going to have the thickest defensive coaching staff I've ever seen at Georgia. With T-Rob and Dante Williams and Schumann and Kirby and Muschamp literally just filing paperwork for them all. Like, good Lord, man. I mean, it's crazy to see the defensive staff that's coming to, and Trey Scott. Excuse me, don't let me forget Recruiter of the Year, Trey Scott. Like, it's unreal. Our defensive staff.
It is.
I haven't even got to the offensive piece of it. 19. We get into some names we know a little bit better, right? I got Trey Harris from Ole Miss, right? Number one returning receiver for Ole Miss. I think this year he has another season with Jackson Dart under his belt. Him and Trey Harris get a little bit more of a link up of the year under their belt. I got him as a 91. What do you guys dislike? Fish, I'll give you this first shot. What do you like or dislike about Trey Harris?
I like him, and I think he'll be rated a lot higher than that probably by the end of the year.
I agree. Tall kid, 6'3", 6'2", 6'3" kid. Bobby, what you know about him?
Well, the combination of him, he's got a quarterback he's got some chemistry with already, and he's a heck of an athlete. I'm with Fish, man. I don't believe he stay. I think he moves up. He's probably on the verge of top 10 by the end of the year.
Nice. I like that. I got him at 91. So maybe he ends up. I mean, I think his catch radius, I think his elusiveness, I think he gives you that kind of sorry to compare him to this, but kind of that George Pickens. Like I saw him make some catches last year. Jackson Dart doesn't have the greatest accuracy. So you really sometimes in tight windows, you have to make great catches. And he made some of those catches last year for Dart and made him look a lot better than his accuracy really is.
Catch radius is a big thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. 18. I got Michael Williams. He could finish much higher than this with the position change, but man, Michael Williams is a disruptor. I mean, we need more of that from Georgia this year. We need more, as we call havoc plays. I feel like we struggled with that last year compared to the previous years when we won national championships. But I felt like we started showing that when we got healthier on the defensive line with a lot of players that we got back towards the end of the season. But I got Michael Williams at 18. I got him an average of a 91 on the game. What do you think about, Bobby? What do you think about Michael Williams there?
Man, the Georgia linebackers, it's such a challenge because they are so deep.
Mm-hmm.
They are so deep, right? And some of those guys can go from down, from standing up to getting down on the edge and getting in there too. So like, man, Michael Williams, man, to me, like at 17 or 18 is probably underrating him for what his potential is.
Right.
Man, I don't know. He could be, that could be a good spot for him, but he could have a heck of a year where he's a top 10 player.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kid's got a high ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real. Yeah.
I have him as the highest rated. I mean, he's supposed to be changing positions. They're going to stand him up a lot more. And I think really what you're doing, you're not really in the defensive scheme that Schumann and Kirby, run. It's a scheme that's based off of whether you're up or you're down. You're in sometimes or up. I mean, there are times when I only saw 2 defensive linemen that are actually down. So I mean, you just have that. It's a lot of just who's coming at you, who's dropping. It's more off of what's happening. You don't see that standard 4-man, 3-man, down lineman, and you're like, oh, all the backers are in their gaps. No, like they don't. Schumann doesn't like to do that. We always have a very unfinished look when it comes to what's happening. And I think that's why, like, yes, you can look at Michael Williams and say, well, we're going to change your position. Really what we're going to do is we're going to put you in position to cause more havoc. And so that's why I have him rated as a higher, linebacker. Some C.J. Allen's in there, Smiles in there. I just don't think they're top 25.
I think, but here's the thing with those guys, right? So look at the difference. We talk about one of my guys from my hometown, and this isn't bias; it's just legit. Quay Walker,
yeah,
right. So you look at the jump that he made from his junior season to his senior year, because he was kind of put in a better role for him.
Yeah.
He wound up being a first-round pick, dude, and he has led Green Bay his rookie season and his sophomore season in tackle. And so you see the jump that he made. I think Michael Williams could absolutely make that kind of jump too. So could C.J. Allen. So could Smile Monday. Like all those guys, right? Like it's just insane what they've got. Yeah. But like when I see, if I look at anybody, and I think that they make that amount of a jump, right? Quay was good his junior year,
right?
Dude, in the national championship game, he was outstanding.
Right.
He increased his draft stock there, and I could see Michael Williams being that kind of guy this season.
Yeah. I like Michael. I mean, he may end up higher, could be up lower, but I think I got him at a 91. Here may be a shocker for some people because this is my lowest rated top 25 quarterback. And I'm wondering, because I do look at this person, we're going to try to move quicker through here to get to the top 10, but I have Jalen Milroe at 17, overall 92 rating. Why? I think he's going to have like a 95 speed, but I think he's going to have an accuracy rating of an 82 and maybe a throwing power of like a 96. Like it's going to seek and sling it. He doesn't know where it's going sometimes, and he can
Right-handed
run.
Michael Vick.
Right. But you look at Jalen Milroe and you go, man, you look at him in the SEC championship, and Jalen Milroe won that game with the inability to also to plug the front, that the front of that line, and to open up what he could do. I don't think he won it by just taking over the game, but we were able to serve him up on a platter what he eats most of, which is I can see what you're giving me, and if I can always take it, I'm going to win that opportunity every time. Is this too low as we move a little quicker? But is this too low for Jalen Milroe, or do we think actually he's the worst quarterback out of maybe the top 4 or 5 names that we're all going to drop soon?
Me personally, I don't look at his talent being the issue. I look at the fact that he's got a brand new head coach who's not faced SEC defenses all the time, and you've also got an offensive coordinator that he doesn't know. So I don't know. I don't know if that's too much.
Heck, nobody. Do you even know? I mean, we know the name. Right. Heck, I don't even know the offensive coordinator, bro. Nick Sheridan. So he sounds like an actor, bro.
A recipe for really seeing Milroe fall off. If he does not, I'm going to tell you this. Dude will be a very high-rated draft pick.
Yeah.
If he can make it through this kind of transition in this short period of time, because they all backed out late in the game. So, I mean, if he does well, man, like, hey, hats off to him. Like, dude, I've undervalued him if he does well. I'll say that.
Yeah. Is you like Milroe here, or like him higher or lower?
I think that's about a good spot for him. I mean, we can't deny the kid's got talent. I mean, he did look, above average against us, and we have such a great defense, and I'm sure they disguised some things and did some things to try to make him uncomfortable, but it didn't really work. So I mean, hats off to him. I mean, he didn't play incredible against Michigan, but I think he's probably getting a lot better, but I think maybe the scheme changing on him is going to maybe hold him back a little bit. But yeah, I think that's a good spot for him.
Just remember, he also had a new OC last year, so he didn't have the best year this year. I think what we're all going to say in this, and we probably say it in unison, is you're not going to have that Nick Saban to back you up to kind of pick up the pieces this year. Everybody's going to be feeling their way through this, including Kalen DeBoer. And I think one of the biggest things that I've heard over the past few days since we've gone on last is the troubling piece of this offensive coordinator thing with Grubb and not having something sealed up when he got there was the fact that I don't think at Alabama, after coming in and taking over for Nick Saban, do you have the capacity to run the offense and be the head coach? Because we all know it's going to be DeBoer's offense and his hand's going to be a lot on it. Because it has to be, because Grubb didn't pan out. But this is not the year nor the transition that he wanted to have to do both, I don't think.
I agree.
When you look at 16, and I think maybe he could go higher. I got Trevor Etienne here. I think he is going to be an incredible I think he will be a piece of the backfield at Georgia, but I do think he will be a feature back for Georgia this year. I have him as a 92 rating. And I think what we're going to see the most from Trevor Etienne is you get the elusive speed with the Dejon Edwards type shiftiness, and you get that in a combo back in Etienne. Do you like him, Bobby? You like him here, higher, lower?
Well, I'm going to leave him here, and I'm going to say he has the potential to climb if he can learn to block.
Yeah. Fish, you like him here? Lower, higher?
Yeah, that's a good spot for him. Again, I hope he finishes a little higher than that. I'm hoping he'll be one of the top backs in the SEC, if not the country. At the end of the season, he could. I mean, the offense isn't going to be dependent on any one facet. So, we're going to be able to throw the ball at will, I believe. as long as our receivers and Beck stay healthy.
Yeah.
And, our O-line is going to be strong. We know that. So, and our
Right.
backs are donkeyless. So, yeah,
Right.
that's a good spot.
For time's sake, I'm gonna go through about 3 here. Tell me what you think about this next mix, because there are 3 quarterbacks right here. I just so happen to have 3 quarterbacks back to back. Tell me, I think the question for you guys, are they in the right order? I got 15 Brady Cook, 14 Jackson Dart, 13 Quinn Ewers. I got 92, 93, 94. Out of those 3, is Quinn Ewers the best quarterback between Jackson Dart and Brady Cook?
Yeah. I think flip Dart and Cook.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I think Ewers is the best. I think you got Cook is probably next. And then I would put Dart just because he can miss some open guys. Like, Cook is going to be throwing to Weissenberg. I mean, he's going to have a better season than Dart, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So jumping up to 12, I got Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU. Why do I have Will Campbell here? We don't give a lot of love to the big guys, man, but he's going to be a highly rated big guy on college football. I got him at a 94 overall. He started at LSU since he was a freshman. He's going to be taking care of Garrett Nussmeier. I got a lot of high regards for Nussmeier. I talked a lot about him last year. I think he has a great arm. I think he could be a guy that could enter this top 25 depending on updates and how everything works and rolls. But I like Will Campbell here. Do you guys know much about Will Campbell to kind of not say he's deserving to be there?
No, that's a good spot for him. He's a great lineman. Great lineman. A big reason why Daniels had a lot of time in the pocket last year.
For sure.
Yeah, he's been a starter for 3 years. Yeah.
He'll be a high draft pick too.
Yeah. Could have gone to the league this year, I think. And then right above him, I think you got probably your second best lineman in the entire SEC, which is Kelvin Banks from Texas. Once again, incoming senior. Could have gone pro this year. Right there. Another notable name. I didn't think you guys said you really knew much about this guy, but a name that you need to know at 10 is Shamar Turner, Texas A&M. So big reason why, another name that we're going to talk about in a minute left, Texas A&M, was because apparently Shamar Turner was more of the dominant, well, he was more of the healthy down lineman last year for Texas A&M, but apparently a lot of people are talking about how on tape that nobody ran to that left side over there against Shamar Turner at A&M. And so this is a big guy, kind of Nazir Stackhouse frame type body, but lockdown defensive tackle. And I said you guys haven't really heard much about it, so that'll be interesting to see how he pans out there. I got him at a 95, man, because they said the guy bench presses like some cars too. So strength could be a huge number for him. But as we enter in the top 10, these might be some names you know a little bit more. So I got a kid named Deontay Lawson from Alabama who is going to be a shutdown corner for them that could kind of take over for another next big name in the secondary, as a lot of that secondary has left. There are 2 names mostly that come out of that. But what do you guys know about Deontay Lawson? I got him at a 95. He is very, very physical. He tackles well out there. He's your prototypical, really like your safety type guy, but he plays cornerback. You guys know anything about Deontay that you want to add?
Yeah, he's scary. Like you said, like he's got the body of a safety, but he can cover, like a cornerback, and that's scary, especially for a DB, like a cornerback. I mean, like that's
makes me think of Keely Ringo senior year when he he's got that size of a safety, but fast enough and sound enough mechanically to play corner.
Yeah, his quote really triggers me because he's going to be the one that's a little bit, he's the one that told Coach DeBoer when he came in, he said, I'm not going anywhere. And he said, whoever is, just let him go. Like he said, let him go. So he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder this year on defense. And so I'm curious to see how that pans out. 8, I think I got this guy a little bit low. I've looked at this and I've looked at this, but I got this guy a little bit low. I got Malachi Starks from Georgia at 8. I got him as a 95 overall. I think that Malachi Starks is one of the best secondary safety, and we've had a lot of good ones come through in the Kirby Smart era, but he's probably one of the best raw safeties that could be a top 10 draft pick to come through. So he might be a little low. I got him at 8. What do you guys, Bobby, what do you like about Malachi, man, at 8? You like him higher, like him lower?
Oh, lower. I mean, like he'll be he'll be top 5. I mean, he's
So you
top
like him
5.
higher? You want
He's
him to be? You
probably
think he'll be
top
higher?
guy. Yeah, like
Gotcha.
he's probably top 3.
Top 3. Yeah.
Dude's
A lot of people have him there, just so you know. So you're not wrong with that. Like I said, some of these, and these are based off of like Madden ratings, right? I think. What do you think? He makes great. He tracks the ball really well. I think the only thing with Malachi that you don't get from some of the other safeties in the league is he doesn't have a lot of just burner speed. But I think his coverage and his mentality and how he judges the ball in the air, it just makes up for it, right? And you don't have to have that killer speed at that safety position, because the defense that Georgia plays in, you have to be more head smart than you have to be elusive. Fish, you like Malachi? I mean, I'm sorry, I said Malachi. You like Malachi Starks? Do you like him higher or lower?
I like him to be a little higher too. Definitely the best safety in the SEC. He puts himself in the right position a lot. Like you said, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he doesn't have track speed, but he can track a ball. He puts himself in the right position all the time. I mean, he doesn't get burnt very much.
That's what I see too. I see positioning.
Balls, right? That's where it's between who can get the high point of the football the best, that receiver or that DB, and he does that very well.
I'm stoked to see the athleticism of him and KJ Bolden back there.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Like, I'm super stoked about that. Yeah. For time's sake, 8. I'm moving to 7. 7. I like this guy a lot. I like Harold Perkins at LSU. I think he is the best linebacker, and that's it's hard to say, but I think he's one of the best linebackers that's going to come out next year. Fast, he hits you. He's been doing it since he was a freshman. This will be the first year he's actually going to have a defensive coordinator that I think makes sense. I mean, if you look at LSU's defense in the last 3 years, I don't even know what. I mean, is there a 10-year-old just calling Madden plays or something on the trigger? I don't understand. Are we in a prevent? I mean, to watch what Ole Miss did to them in the beginning of the year in October, I was like, what is going on? This is not the LSU of old. But I like Harold Perkins. You guys want to chime in about Harold Perkins? Too high, too low?
I can't believe he didn't go pro. Could he not go pro or something? Like
his sophomore year, I think.
Dude,
he's a sophomore.
That's NFL talent. Mm-hmm. Oh God, that dude! I don't have a problem with him being the best linebacker in the country. I mean, our SEC right now, and that's even over our linebackers because he's the best proof. Like what you get with him. Yeah. And this is CJ coming, and this is going to be his first season starting every game. So we don't know what to expect from him. So Perkins is great. You know what you're getting with him.
Right.
So I'm not as high on Perkins. Because of the drop off from his freshman year to his sophomore year. Like there was
last year against him.
I think that was the defensive coordinator. The defensive scheme was terrible, but I can see that. Yeah. But I'm hoping that I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that the defensive scheming was absolutely horrendous at LSU last year.
Well, here's the thing. Like, he had a phenomenal freshman season. He came out and he was in the backfield on every play. Dude was a nightmare for offenses. Last year wasn't quite that because he started drawing more double teams and different schemes and stunts from just him having to pick up a lot of different stuff, and he was not as successful in that, right? And so he is the guy on that defense that you have to stop. And if he doesn't have another boss on the other end, he may not fare as well. Yeah. So he's going to need good cast around him. And I don't know anybody else on that LSU defense right now that's fit that bill. Not to say they won't step up, but that's why I'm not as sold on Perkins. Is he good?
They will,
absolutely. But I don't think
they will depend on the portal a lot this year. So we'll see. A lot of names we don't really know how they'll sink in. That the portal will have to pan out for them for LSU this year, or the defense will be not relying on scheme. They'll be relying on talent dropping off. So I mean, you got a point there. I mean, but as far as as far as college football, he's gonna be a dang good linebacker to have on your team. He's definitely the guy you're gonna put. Yeah, you're gonna put the star over him, man, and you're gonna hover in the middle of the field and try to make plays with him. So,
Oh, I'd certainly snatch him out of the portal.
right,
If he shows up in there, like,
right,
I mean, I'd
right,
snatch him out of there because I know what I can put around him.
How's the
exactly.
portal
So,
going to work on the game?
Who knows?
bro,
You know, like you do your dynasty, you win your
that's how
championships. They generate a list for you, of transfers wanting to come in.
that's how they're gonna make their money, bro. So you got to put money on the thing to put your money in the portal so you can get the players, and it's
Yeah.
real money, bro. You lose to the
Yeah,
highest bidder. That's nuts.
$4.99 for 100 portal points.
Exactly. Don't give them
There
any
you
ideas.
go.
So 6, I got another Alabama. This is the duo, in my opinion. Malachi Moore. I like this kid at Alabama. He's probably, I have him higher. I think I only have him higher because I told you I jacked my list up a little bit, but I don't think I should have him higher than Malachi Starks. But I like this kid Malachi Moore. I think with Downs kind of out of the scene at Alabama, this kid will be more talked about. He does have what the last few safeties that have come through to go to the draft that he has more of is he does have that pure speed, but he also has that I'll hit you mentality as well. Plays a lot of special teams for Alabama. You guys know a lot. I know this is kind of a coin flip here, but I watched him on tape. He played a lot of back seat to Caleb Downs last year, but he was much more key in some key things that happened in some games that people just didn't see, and a lot of people are talking him up as one of the MVPs on defense this year for Alabama. Anything you guys know about him?
I think that's a solid pick. I think that's a solid place.
So here's top 5. This is what we've been waiting on. So I got at 5, 97 overall rating on the game. I think he is the defensive tackle that I want to hover over and try to hit somebody. I like Walter Nolan here from Ole Miss. I just don't know if he can stay healthy, but this is not about like I say real life, but we're talking about a game rating, right? So I think he's the 5th best player out of the SEC on the game. He'll have incredible strength. He'll have great elusiveness. He's going to be a run-stopping guy. I think they'll label him as run-stopping defensive tackle as his position. But I got him as a 97. You guys like Walter Nolan as your best, perfect. Your highest defensive tackle?
Yeah.
If I'm going for a defensive tackle again with the portal, that's the one I'm going after. That's the one when I heard he was leaving A&M. I was like, man, I wish we could get him at UGA. Right? Like
that was a huge snatch for Lane.
He is really good.
I like Walter Nolan, man. I wish we could have got him. But we know more about bidding wars and culture. I mean, we know less about bidding wars and culture and what Georgia wants to do on that footprint. So in Kirby, we trust in that matter, but it would have been a good pickup. But that just means that Kirby saw something on the defensive line through development that we're not seeing, and we'll see it soon. I'm hoping we see a flash of it for spring ball. Here's the highest rated lineman I have, and I'm not being biased on this. I think this guy's going to be, he came back to play another year, but I'm giving some love to the big burleys here. But I like Tate. I like Tate Ratledge here. I have him as a 97. And what I like about him is he reminds me of a guy who he moves very well on the line. He's very smart, very intuitive. He's always in the right place at the right time. He's been covering the blind side of Carson Beck and Stetson Bennett for 3 years, right? And that blind side has been very clean, right? So I like Tate right here at a 97. If he can stay healthy, but we're talking about a video game right here. I do think he's the best lineman in the SEC returning this year. I don't have another guy on here on this list because it's just so tough, man. But I even like Xavier Truss, who's coming back, man. I think he could easily be ranked in the 90s, right? So we don't know much about that, but we know Tate if he stays healthy. You guys like Tate as kind of the best SEC representative for the best lineman?
Heck yeah, the mullet.
Yep.
I mean, he's a dog, so that's easy. But I will say that it's hard when you're dealing with, when you're dealing with the other two guys. When you're dealing with Campbell from LSU and then Kelvin Banks, which I don't know much about. I kind of went with a little bit on that one, but I like Tate there. So here's top 3. So I got 3. I got a 97 overall rating. I got Isaiah Bond from Texas. I think Isaiah Bond's going to have a great year this year. I think he's going to have a quarterback that can actually hit him in stride, throw him open, and do some things. I mean, he had a great year with Jalen Milroe, but man, what can he do with with Quinn Ewers, right? What do you guys like about Bond? You like him here at 3? I'm sorry, I don't have him as the best. I don't have him as the best receiver, but I have him here. I got 2 receivers and a quarterback at my top 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good spot for him.
You guys think Isaiah Bond will have a better year this year than last year?
He's got to, right?
Did Mitchell go pro?
Mitchell went pro.
So he's the primary target on that offense, I believe. And Ewers can sling it. I think he's going to have a big season. I think Isaiah Bond.
He'll get a lot more targets. He'll get a lot more balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2, Luther Burden, Missouri. Yeah. I love Luther Burden. I wish we would have got him, dude. He was high on our list to come to Georgia, just like we were talking about earlier, right? We got to be able to land. Now, the only thing that I will say that I think had Missouri up there, and the reason why they got him is he is a Missouri guy. He's born and raised in Missouri, went to high school in Missouri, so he's a hometown guy. But, man, if Luther Burden's healthy, man, he's a 98 on the game, dude. You guys got him higher or lower, or do you think that's where he's at?
No, he's a freak, man. 98's a good rating.
Bobby?
Yeah. So, man, I think anywhere in the top 3, you could probably flip-flop any of those guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Burden is legit. If he's healthy, man, look out. Like, that dude, he's another one, right? Like, you talk about that guy. Like, you need that guy on offense that gives you a numbers mismatch.
Right.
And he is that guy.
Right.
He is that guy.
Yeah. I agree, man. Number 1. This ain't biased, man. I just think it's right. I got Carson Beck, man. I got him as the best player in the SEC. I got him in the top 3 best players in the country. I think he's going to have a 98 rating. I think he's going to have an accuracy rating of around the same. I think Fish, you told me. Fish, what you got his pass accuracy at?
They had it at 94.
Really?
But that's still highest on the game.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Bobby?
But that's also subject to change. Sorry, Bobby.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, brother, you're good. Again, like, I'm not sold out on the number 1 guy. I'm saying there's 3 guys in there that I really legit think can all be the number 1 guy, and it really just depends on how the season pans out. Beck is one of them. I told you when we first started talking, like, Beck is my guy for Heisman. He's smart. He doesn't make mistakes. He has 70% completion percentage. He's going to throw for between 4,000 and 5,000 yards this year with what he's got.
Right.
And I just don't see, and the success of his team, right? Like we are way overdue for Heisman, and I believe after what he did last year, like his name is near the top of that list. So back there, any of those top 3 would be interchangeable in my opinion.
Do you guys have, as far as the SEC, do we agree? Are we biased, or do we think the top 3 is the top 3? Do we think Carson Beck, Luther Burden, and Isaiah Bond are the highest rated players in the SEC that are going to be on the game? Yes or no?
Yeah.
See.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, it could change, right? I mean, we'll
definitely could change.
Here. But starting before we even make a single snap, absolutely, this is accurate in my opinion.
It's fun, man. I mean, it's going to be I mean, I'm curious to see what I think is a whole nother show is when the game comes out, is for us to go on here and go, how close are we?
I'll be playing it and talking to you guys at the same time.
There you go.
Hey, that's what we need to do, right? Like we
dude, Twitch.
Right? We can all
play the game and do it. Like I got
a whole show, man. A whole show. We're gonna have to have crap to talk about over the summer, man. So I totally agree. All right, let me ask you a question real quick because we're over time. But talk to me. Give me, for lack of taking somebody else's pick, I'll let Fish go first, man. Who's your 99 on the game? Any conference top player. Who's your 99s? One of your 99s. I got mine, bro. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got Travis Hunter, 99. He's 99 in the game, dude. He's going to play both sides of the ball. He's lockdown cornerback. I think he's going to be a 99 on the game.
That's a good one.
That's just me, but
that's a great one.
I got Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Bobby,
What
you got
do
one
you
in
think?
mind?
I got Caleb Downs.
99 potential, huh? Sophomore?
Mm-hmm.
Tough.
Yep.
Tough. Fish.
Nice.
Do you think there's another? I mean,
I'd like to see Beck come in as a 99. I mean, he's got to be the
could end as a
highest rated
99.
returning quarterback, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just going off. I mean, he only lost one game this year, and
Yeah.
I mean, first year starter. Just
Yeah.
and he's gonna have. This is crazy to say that he's gonna have more weapons next year,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have a more
Yeah.
balanced run game. So our offense is gonna be scary.
Yeah. I think you have some potential 99s in the group as well. But I think the unanimous, I think the only 99 that might be in the game from Rip is going to be Hunter. They might not give him a 99 off Rip. It might be like a 98, something like that. But I like Carson in that mix. I like Luther Burden. I mean, I got him as a 98. I mean, what is he missing? He has great hands. He runs great routes. He's fast. He's elusive. He plays special teams. I mean, what does he not do, right?
He plays for Mizzou, and some people still aren't sold on Mizzou. And I'm telling you, they're legit. I tried to tell people last year they were legit. Nobody wanted to listen to me.
Yeah.
They're going to be the fourth SEC team in the Final 12 this year. Saw an article today that says they edge out Bama. Bama will finish 5th in the SEC, and Missouri will finish 4th.
Bro, that's a whole other show right there, bro.
I kind of want
to invite somebody from I want to invite some Alabama and guys on here. If you got an Alabama fan, I'd love to hear that part.
My mother-in-law is a Bama fan.
Maybe Mr. Sizemore. I think Joel's. Shout out to Joel Sizemore, man. Yeah, I think Joel deleted me. He deleted me off Facebook, bro, from our Alabama and Georgia days, man, of talking smack on Facebook.
Yeah, me and him used to be friends too, but he deleted me during football season one year.
He deleted all Georgia fans, I guess. I have him on the show, man. Like, I love to talk to him.
I love Joel, man. Like, it's hilarious to me, boy. I give it back to him, man. Like, he loves to stir the pot.
Dude, yes. I think that's what it was, man. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple of Auburn fans that deleted me too. I mean, I was they just got tired of hearing it. I think they just got, I don't know. But final thoughts, man. I think in the final thoughts, I would love to know in your final thoughts tonight, like what I even forgot my question, man. Final thought. I forgot the question, but go ahead. Final thoughts, Fish. What you got, man?
Well, since today's topic was mainly about the game, I am very excited about the game. Got a lot of questions. Can't wait to see exactly what they're going to do. I mean, the announcers really are going to be very important. I can't stress how important it is because that is quality of gameplay, And are they going to have? Is it going to be Herbie and Fowler doing every game like on Madden? They have the same two doing every game, Super Bowls, everything. Preseason is always the same two. Or are they going to have Fox since they're Big Ten exclusive? Or are they going to have Herbie and Fowler for the SEC since they're ESPN exclusive?
Right.
Like, these are the things that keep me up at night.
I'm excited, man. We're just going to do one podcast, man. We're just going to play the game, bro. We're going to Twitch. We'll get us a Twitch account. We'll show it on the screen. We'll have a little tournament, see who wins who. I don't know.
We can't all be Georgia, though, but I think we're all going to be Georgia. Yeah. You wear black jerseys. You wear red jerseys. I'll wear white jerseys.
There you go, man. Either way, man, Carson Beck's going to have a great game. So it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to give him a great game. Final thoughts, Bobby? How about yourself, man?
Yeah, man. I'm just wondering which one of those Georgia running backs is going to hit the portal when I create Big Bobby Ryals in the backfield.
I thought you were going to say, man. Okay, that was good. That was slick. I thought you were going to say.
I'm always a quarterback, and I'm always Radar Fish. That's my name on any game on Madden.
Nice.
Jeez. Yep. Well,
coming to a Prairie View A&M near you.
Yeah.
Remember when you could create your stadium and your field logo and everything?
Oh my God, Grant used to do Ellaville, Pine Bluff, or God, like Plains A&M. Like, it was hilarious. We used to have so much fun.
It would have been great to have Grant tonight because Grant could have talked about two things. He could have talked about college football, and don't get me wrong, like Grant can't say anything because Grant we play Sega football when he loved, Grant's a Bills fan, and the homeboy would always get the Bills. We always know that they had the best team. So it's like, you had the little tricky loco route. You ran it every play. Then you run that play 28 times, and you run Thurman Thomas up the middle. So
Don't
what I
forget
was
about
saying was
Arkansas and college basketball games, 95,
Oh, yeah.
college
96.
basketball, but
Good
he
Lord.
would be great to talk to tonight because he could also talk about the college football game, but also the fact that Arkansas may lose their wide receivers coach. It's a Georgia. Anyways, but that was bad. But final thoughts tonight, man. It's always cool. Talk. We had, when you think you don't have anything to talk about on the Dogs Down South podcast,
Dude,
College Football 25 says here it is and shows up on the scene with a gangster lean and drops a game, and we're pumped, man. So as always, thanks for joining. If you have not already done so, we try to keep this to a power hour. It might not happen sometimes. Sorry. But if you have not already done so, make sure you share the podcast. Cannot wait to get into spring G Day and get into the season and really hunker down and be able to just grow it so people can come in here, ask questions. We can be able to talk about everything under the sun, whether it's injury reports, whether it's, I don't know, Third and Bobo. Maybe I get some of those old guys from some of those Facebook pages to join. Who knows? But it is upon us very soon. It is around the corner. We are almost through the winter. So we're close, guys. But as always, for myself and Adam Fisher, Bobby Ryals, I think we would say that it is our pleasure to be able to hang out, talk some college football tonight, and make sure that you share. We're on Facebook. We are on we're on YouTube. And then if you don't catch this live, guess what? You can go catch it on Apple Podcasts. So you can catch it 24 hours from here. But until then, you guys have a great night and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
yes, sir. Go Dogs.